You didn't go to porn because your spouse didn't love you enough or they weren't giving you enough sex. You went to porn because you hate your own guts. You don't like yourself. You have a really hard time looking in the mirror and feeling like you're an honest man or woman, and you're struggling and you hate yourself for that. And I totally feel you and I totally understand it. It makes a lot of sense. But the biggest thing that your spouse needs to see from you right now is that you are taking massive steps to rebuild trust. To the people whose wives or husbands become really bitter and they're like, I don't trust you, I'll never trust you again, I don't know if I'll ever have trust for you, is the person who's not taking full ownership and not doing something about it.
You like this, right? You like being daddy's arms with microphones now. You like being a worker. You're made for the camera. Both my boys are.
Hey, this video you are about to watch is a part of a series where I show you how to quit porn the right way. So do yourself a favor, binge on all of this content, all the videos that you possibly can, because who knows, maybe if the value and the trust is built together over this journey, you'll want to jump into a community that I call Fit for Family. Or maybe you think these videos suck, and that's also fair too. But nonetheless, there's only one way for us to find out. So enough of me, let's get back to serving you and let's get back to the video. All right, one thing that we need to talk about right now is porn inside of marriage, inside a covenant. The safest, most vulnerable relationship you and I will ever have is in the context of marriage. And a lot of people question what the role of their spouse is during their recovery. Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. We all want to understand what's their role, how do they help, what should they be doing, if at all anything. Maybe, I don't know, and what the heck should I be doing in the context of rebuilding that trust? You know, I've heard someone once say that trust is gained in droplets and it's broken and it's lost in buckets. And that's actually really true. So when we look at porn inside of our marriage, trust is the most important thing that you and I have. It's the fabric of every single relationship. And when your spouse finds out that you're struggling with porn, that you have a porn addiction that's been hidden, there's been secrecy and lies, you can't help but have a brain and a mind that's wondering into what else are they hiding? How long has this been going on? All of the things. And whether you've shared with them transparently absolutely every detail, or you've just shared with them transparently that this has been a struggle for you, either way, trust is needing to be rebuilt again. Now, I believe that there's a hack, biblically speaking, in being able to regain trust, because that's a really hard road to walk down, because again, you can never really get beyond just consistent time of rebuilding trust. It could take months, it could take years, it could take a decade or more in order to rebuild it. But there's one thing that you can do, that you can control, that can accelerate you in your degree of being able to rebuild trust with your wife again, or your husband again, whoever it is. And that right there is your ability to clean up your mess and take ownership over it. See, I actually don't believe that trust is fundamentally broken because a mistake is made, an error is made, there's been secrecy or lies or hiddenness only. I actually fundamentally believe, and I've seen this in my life and in the lives of so many people that we've helped and worked with, that trust is fundamentally broken due to the lack of repair, the lack of ownership, of onus, of responsibility taken by the individual who made the mess and then did or did not clean it up. See, making a mess is one thing. It happens. Making mistakes happens. Different than sin, but I'm just saying in general, we're all going to make errors. I make errors all the time, right? And so if I make a mistake, that's a given, even though it might not have been my intent. But my ability to clean it up means everything, even though it may have been accidental, even though it may have been, not on purpose. And so when we're talking about porn inside of a marriage, and of course, the last thing you want to do is hurt your spouse. You didn't go to porn because your spouse didn't love you enough or they weren't giving you enough sex. You went to porn because you hate your own guts. You don't like yourself. You have a really hard time looking in the mirror and feeling like you're an honest man or woman, and you're struggling and you hate yourself for that. And I totally feel you and I totally understand it. It makes a lot of sense. But the biggest thing that your spouse needs to see from you right now is that you are taking massive steps to rebuild trust. To the people whose wives or husbands become really bitter and they're like, I don't trust you, I'll never trust you again, I don't know if I'll ever have trust for you, is the person who's not taking full ownership and not doing something about it. And it can't be done at a snail pace. I've seen someone where it's like, yeah, well, I'm praying about it, I'm going to church now, and I'm saying, dude, I love you, but that's not enough. I said, you completely deteriorated the fabric of your entire marriage bed. And I said, that can't be the only thing that you do to get help, is just by going to church and praying and getting back into your Bible. Those are good steps, but you need to take massive action here, because you took massive action to destroy your marriage that your wife is feeling. You need to take massive action for the repair. That's the only thing that you can do, is being able to truly repair this in a way. And so what does repair look like? Let's go through a few ideas or examples, because this is something that you might want to invite, not might, but you definitely will want to invite your spouse into, and seeing what does repair look like for them the most. And maybe they won't talk to you. Maybe you're in a position where you're like, well, my spouse is trying to leave me. I want to save the marriage. I've been through so many different examples with married men where their wives have taken from one extreme of like, I don't care, doesn't bother me in the least, at least that's what they say on the surface, to immediately leaving and filing for divorce and taking the kids with them, the cars and the home, everything, and everywhere in between. All responses from your spouse are satisfactory, are reasonable, because it's their way of handling pain and trauma and a betrayal and an abandonment within, the safest confine of a relationship. So however they respond, I want you to be able to take action for repair that is massive, that feels life-giving, and that feels like your spouse is getting the message communicated to, that you are taking responsibility and doing everything within your power to fight for your marriage, because they're likely done. They're likely over it. And if anything, you might want to assume that to be the case. You might want to assume that you're back to dating, that you're back to a place in your relationship of trust where, she doesn't know if she wants to be with you maybe. And maybe obviously if you know your spouse, like, hey, I'm with you, I'm fighting this in with you. Like, that's a beautiful thing. I remember one guy, he wanted my help, but he wouldn't have the conversations with me alone. He wanted his wife to be there every step of the way. I had red flags immediately, and I was just like, okay, this is a very codependent couple. She can't be involved in the process at all. She needs to learn to separate. And it turns out they just so loved each other, but they hated themselves individually. They were both so wounded and hurting. And of course, there was codependency within that. But to me, it was a beautiful thing of like, they just sincerely want to support and love each other, which I think is amazing. So for some of you, rebuilding trust with your spouse might look like sharing your location, might look like, getting accountability software. Although I don't believe it's the end all be all. If it's what communicates trust being built, honor being built, actionable steps being built, incredible. If it's getting into a men's group, a prayer group, if it's getting counseling, professional therapy, like actually offloading. So one thing that you will need to do is you can't have your spouse be your accountability partner. Your wife can't be your accountability partner. Not at all. She can't be on the ins and outs of something that affects her so intimately, right? Because it's not like drinking and it's not like drugs. It's about porn. It's the idea of like, my wife is now thinking to herself, I'm not good enough. She's comparing herself to the thoughts and the ideas of the images of other women that you've been seeing. And so from that standpoint, it affects her way too much. It's way too personal. You're going to need to find somebody who has complete capacity and capability and skills on being able to journey this with you personally. Now, being in this program is a really good start, but I'll be honest, the journey continues. This is why we have so many other programs that we run and offer and ways of giving people personal help on the other side of this, that if you're interested, I'd 100% say is necessary in some form with whoever you go with. But my goal is that we build enough trust with you so that, you would be positioned to want to receive our help even more than what you're already taking, to get more personalized care for help with this. But some form of that is going to be exactly what you're needing. They can't assume that the responsibility is on them in any which way. And again, you're going to need to take massive action. The next thing that you're going to need to realize is that you got a big uphill battle. Okay, so whatever is coming up, whatever's being triggered, comparison, insecurities, doubt, maybe it's triggering a feeling like just never being chosen from your wife because in her upbringing, her dad never chose her. Maybe her dad wished that she was a boy, and it triggers all these childhood abandonment wounds. This journey is going to also be a catalyst for her healing and her growth just as much as it is for you, but you're now leading that. And so when that happens, I've heard a lot of people say like, dude, it's been like 6 months. You're like, why is my wife not over this yet? It's been a year since my affair. Why hasn't my wife gotten over this yet? And be like, because that's not the way healing works. Healing doesn't take place because of time. Healing takes place because of intent. It takes place because of intentional, deliberate pursuit towards becoming better and more whole. It won't happen magically. People say time heals many wounds, and it doesn't. You'll see people, who are like 80 years old that are miserable, grumpy, they're upset, they're angry, they're bitter, they're lonely, right? All those sorts of things. That these things within us do not get worked out because of time. They always get worked out because of intent and our ability to, with humility and with ownership, get honest and go on a journey of just real self-discovery with God and others. God always works through his people. That's like a staple in and through the process. So that being said, when your spouse says to you, your wife says to you, being like, dude, I still don't trust you, or like, what are you doing on your phone? What are you doing on your phone? Instead of getting frantic and angry or upset, be like, dude, it's been 8 months. Are you kidding me? Like, I've been clean. I've been doing good. And you're flexing all of the ways in which you have shown up. I want you to realize this is a test, okay? Women are going to do this. Your spouse is going to do this, where they don't trust you. It gets flooded up. And instead of getting insecure or defensive and argumentative and using it as an opportunity to create a fight and more disconnect, I want you to step into the real heart here. Get low, go slow, and get into the real heart behind this. Trust was broken. Trust needs to be repaired. So when your spouse says, what are you doing on your phone? And they seem very like triggered and defensive, and it triggers you, and you have the opportunity to do one of two things. You can fight back, tell them why, like, I can't believe you're still thinking I'm doing something. Or you can say, hey, this is an opportunity for me to actually show my wife one more time why I know that I'm the man now that she wants to be married to. I can show her again and reinforce another time, one more time, even if this is 6 months down the road, 3 months, 12 months, 44 months down the road, being like, this is an opportunity for me to build trust. This is an opportunity for me to bridge and create safety in the container of our marriage again. And that's not something that I want you to take lightly. It's going to be the pursuit of your life, is creating safety and trust. Not again as if it was so fragile that it can't be restored, but it's something that you're going to want to protect with your life. And so just like a little kid who feels like they may be inadequate, incapable, can't do something, as a parent, you're going to want to protect that. You're going to want to curb that insecurity, and you're going to want to shoulder that and lift them up in that place of pain or weakness. So in the same way in our marriage, I want you to see this as an opportunity to be able to be in your masculine core, be in your identity, and show up in the way that they're needing. They're needing to see that you're going to be unfazed and ungrounded in the face of their, verbal adversity, and the way that they're showing up to you emotionally or with walls or with disconnect and pushing you away. And I want you to be able to know that you don't have to take it personally. It's a test. And because she's wondering at a subconscious level if you're really different, because the old version of you would have lost his cool. The old version of you would have lost his crap, would have gotten defensive or argumentative, or maybe you would have just shut down and gone into shame and become really passive. But this is a chance for you to be graciously assertive and say, hey, babe, I can see that, you're triggered again about me being on my phone. That makes a lot of sense. Be like, here, I'd love to show you. Truth is, I'm actually, making a meal plan for the week. I'm actually responding to something from somebody at work and being like, I want you to know that my heart is for you and I love you. I'm so sorry for what was done in the past, and I'm really hopeful for us leading forward in the future. And all I want is for you to experience trust being built with me. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to show you one more time why I know I'm a different man now. And again, that needs to be in context of you actually doing the work. It can't just be lip service. It can't just be because she doesn't see strides be taken. You can't go at the pace of a snail. You need to do whatever it takes. And so, to be super honest, if you want my honest opinion, you're like, Matt, what is the best thing I can do to max this thing out and get real help with this? I'm going to say you need to get paid help. Invest in yourself for paid help. I remember sometime in the past, one guy with his wife was talking to me about working with me. And he was saying, did you take insurance? And unfortunately, just the way in which I worked, I wasn't able to. And I just saw the look on the wife's face, because after that, he was not interested. He's like, oh, well, I only want this if this isn't going to cost me. And I said, unfortunately, this has already cost your wife more than everything. So maybe the very least that you could do is have this cost you your paycheck. And for you to get skin in the game, and for you to actually show true commitment and process of a committed journey in getting help, getting leadership, having somebody over you in authority. And that's the other thing is however you go about this journey, there has to be somebody over you in leadership. Someone who's struggling with porn typically has never had someone of true leadership in their journey, in their process, in their life, in their story, invested and committed to their growth and process fully. It's not something that we've ever really had. And so one gift that you can give yourself is saying and letting your wife know, letting your spouse know, hey, I'm not the biggest person in my world now. I actually respond to somebody. I actually have somebody who's leading me, who's guiding me, who's shaping me, and who's showing me. And so what that's immediately going to do is build so much safety within your spouse because they see, wow, this guy isn't just talking fluff. He's not just giving me lip service. He's actually having the rubber meet the road, and he's driving. He's moving forward. That's something that's going to be admirable. And that right there is how you're going to build trust again because it's done through repair. Again, trust isn't just fundamentally broken and lost in buckets because a mistake is made. It's fundamentally lost in buckets because no one ever did anything to clean up the mess. So taking ownership, apologizing, and then correcting those mistakes by taking actionable, massive steps with big leaps and bounds to say, this is how I'm solving it. I'm doing it for you. And just saying, I should have done it sooner. Our marriage is worth investing in because at the end of the day, one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given when my wife and I first got married is my friend said to me, Matt, marriage is an empty box. You get out what you put in. Marriage is an empty box. You get out what you put in. And so I started putting in counseling and therapy because I was super messy and I wanted stronger foundations. And my wife has respected me for it. You know, we're almost 6 years married. I've been porn free for almost 11 years. And within the 6 years of us being married, my wife has never wondered what I'm doing behind closed doors. She's never wondered what I'm doing on my phone. She's never wondered what I'm doing on my laptop. And for the work that I do, even filming this, I'm in a closed room confined on my, camera and with computer and with my phone and all that. And she's never wondering when she goes away from me, what I'm doing and what's Matt up to, because she knows exactly what I'm not doing, what I'm never doing. So that being said, that right there, I think, is a testimony, which in the Greek means do it again, God. It's not a testament of like how cool I am. No, it's just a testament of a journey that you can go on with God to rebuild trust with your spouse. And however they react or respond to that is totally fair. But if your wife is saying, I really want to be involved, like tell me everything, I think that's where as a man, you need to take leadership to say, hey, for your process, for your health, for your heart, that I want to help steward with God. I actually want to keep you in the loop, but with minimal detail. What I want you to, because again, what a woman is wanting to feel is like the you got it. She wants a sense of certainty that you are dealing with everything that needs to be dealt with. So she doesn't need to hear maybe every single detail or every single little thing. That's what you would have a trained expert professional in your corner for, is to catch you in all the little things. But what you're going to want to have your wife in on is the wins, the victories, the epiphanies, the realizations, right? The self-awareness that you're gaining. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't recognize that I made those choices out of abandonment or out of loss or out of a lack of purpose and all these other sorts of things. And the reason why that's important is because for her, what's probably scary is the why. Like, why did he do this? So as you begin to know it for yourself and safely share it with her as she wants to know, that's going to build a lot more safety too. Because at the end of the day, my wife doesn't trust me being porn free because of how many days it's been. She trusts the journey that I've been on. She trusts the journey of inner healing, of self-awareness, of internal pursuit with God, of having leaders in my life. Still to this day, I have leaders in my life. Actually, we had a conversation earlier today about having more leaders in our life and her getting some and me getting more because it's helpful. And in terms of saying, well, my pastor is my leader, that's great. If you absolutely know that they have capacity and you and them have had a communicated relationship, that they can be that person for you, that they can be the person to help you navigate your pain, your trauma, your wounds, your bondage, everything that's going on. But unless that, you can't offload this to like your aunt, your uncle, your mom or dad, a sibling, or somebody else. That's good for personal comfort, but it's not good for personal spiritual growth and development. Because again, this is an emotionally rooted issue where you're going to really want hands-on help to figure out with personal care how to really go about this. So hopefully some of these ideas help. I don't want this to, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but it's something that I wanted to give you a taste of on the front side. And I'd love for you to dialogue about that, on what steps that you feel like you would need to take in order to rebuild trust, in order to clean up the mess that was made, in order to build certainty within your spouse that this is a dealt with issue, and then make a list of like 3 things that you can do to take massive action to rebuild that trust, create safety within the container of your marriage so that your spouse, your wife, your husband can know that you love them to the nth degree and that you're willing to fight for the marriage more than you ever have in your entire life. I love you guys so much. I believe in you. You have what it takes to continue to take massive ownership, massive action, so you can create massive trust regained inside of your marriage, just like you're meant to have, and right every wrong that's been done. I love you guys so much. I believe in you. You got this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey, real quick, if you like that video that you just saw, or if you want to see even better videos than this in a series that I made called Annihilate Porn to help guys or girls like you quit porn, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't forget any alerts, comment, like, all that jazz, and more importantly, check out the next video that's going to take you even further on the journey from where you are to where you want to be. I love you tons. I'll catch you in the next one.